Good evening, everybody, and welcome, you should see the look I'm getting right now, to this thrilling, chilling,
spectacular,
and what else? Enjoyable, fulfilling
edition
of the Burke Brigade. I'm Matthew Burke.
I'm Jennifer Burke.
And we are the Burke Brigade, brought to you by the Liberty Daily.
Your conservative alternative to the Drudge Report.
Visit thelibertydaily.com, thelibertydaily.com, your conservative alternative to the Drudge Report. You will not be sorry. And
you'll thank us later.
You'll thank us now, actually.
Right.
You'll thank us before you even go there. That's how great it is. And to show you how great it is, the Liberty Daily got some major good press today. Rankpolitics.com came out with the 18 best conservative news sites on the internet. The 18 best conservative news sites on the internet. And guess who they named number one?
Who, hon?
The Liberty Daily.
Woo!
Number one, the Liberty Daily. This is written by Teresa Monroe Hamilton. And she says, number one, the Liberty Daily. This is where I start my day for headlines. You can't beat the Liberty Daily for breaking news. They are the premier news aggregator out there, thelibertydaily.com. Now, how honored are we at this time?
Blessed.
I mean, don't you feel a little bit like one of those leftist loons that just won an Emmy or something? and look, here's who's on the list. They've got another really good conservative news aggregator. The New Americana is number 2. They got Drudge number 3, Bad Blue number 4, Breitbart 5. That's another aggregator. Breitbart number 5, Washington Free Beacon number 6, The Daily Caller, The Right Scoop, The Daily Wire, that's Ben Shapiro's excellent site, Conservative Review, which is excellent, Young Conservatives, Conservative Tribune, Fox News, The Blaze, BizPac Review, Independent Journal Review, Western Journalism, and number 18, Twitchy. But the
Liberty Daily is on top, recognized as the best conservative news site on the internet. And look, like Matthew and I have said to people, we started off as activists. We were activists.
Right.
We were living our lives, but then when George Bush did his, I'm going to set aside my free market principles in order to save the free market, we were like, wait, what?
Yeah, the TARP bailout.
Yeah. So
and then Obama came up with his porculous $1 trillion bailout to his friends.
You know, for the infrastructure that we're still hearing about needs more money.
Right, which never happened. I remember at the time, 4% of that $862 billion, nearly $1 trillion, that we just put on a credit card we didn't have the money for.
Borrowed
and
from
4%.
I borrowed it from China.
And 4% went to infrastructure.
Shameful.
The rest to Obama's cronies. So yeah, that is what sparked us to get involved in the Tea Party movement, and we went to the very first modern day Tea Party in America in February of 2009 in, of all places, Seattle, Washington. So that's kind of what got us triggered. All right, we're going to get right into it. And now, you didn't hear this today on Rush or Mark Levin, the great one, or Glenn Beck, or Michael Savage, or any of the other great talk show hosts out there, or Sean Hannity even, because this is new. This is just in. Admitted socialist, and he has admitted on air that he's a socialist, Lawrence O'Donnell, had an epic, profanity-laced meltdown.
Meltdown for the ages. I want to meet the cameraman who kept the camera rolling and then leak this tape and shake his hand.
Yeah, so we shrunk this down for your listening pleasure here to take out a little bit of the original clip was about 8 minutes long, but we're giving you the highlights here. And the deal is they're having technical difficulties. Apparently, either that or maybe he's just hearing voices in his head. He thinks there's hammering going on.
Hammering!
In his head. I mean, that might be a hangover. I don't know what it is. But
has he recently visited California, Washington, or Colorado?
He's hearing voices in his head, and he doesn't know he's being videoed, and he cusses up his staff, one side and the other.
Taking God's name in vain, too, right?
Yes, because he's just so full. Probably doesn't believe in God, but yet he takes his name in vain, which is telling to start with. So let's listen to old Larry, Lawrence O'Donnell, admitted socialist, and his meltdown. This is just
epic.
I mean, anyone else would probably be fired for this, but he's a lefty, so I'm sure he'll be fine.
Stop the hammering. Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer? Where is it? Where's the hammer? Is it on go up on the other floor. Somebody go up there and stop the hammering. Stop the hammering.
Hey, Larry, do you want us to stop the hammering? Thanks. If there's any pauses here, it's because but you should see his expression.
His face.
You can see it on the Washington Examiner. It's also on the Politistick on YouTube. Excellent stuff. Here he goes. He's not done.
I'll go down to the goddamn floor myself and stop it. Keep the goddamn commercial break going.
So full of love.
Call fucking Phil Griffin. I don't care who the fuck you have to call. Stop the hammering.
Pause it. Can we say that Lawrence O'Donnell tries to present a different persona on air than in reality?
Yeah. So loving, so caring for the little guy. Can you imagine working for this son of a sitch?
No.
Can you imagine?
Probably a tyrant.
You're showing one of his staffers putting notes in front of him right now. Again, he doesn't know that he's being videoed. He thinks it's like, between
he's
a break,
focused on the hammering,
a commercial break or whatever. And could you imagine? It would be like walking on needles.
Right?
There's Larry. Oh, everybody be quiet. Here he goes. He's getting locked and loaded.
Empty out the goddamn control room and find out where this is going on. It's either there or out.
Can you imagine if this were Sean Hannity, the field day the left would be having?
He'd be gone already.
Out there somewhere. The woman talking in my ear was talking about the Labor Day special repeatedly every time we went to a SOT. Yeah, what do you mean in the conversation? Not in the Bush SOT, no.
There she is again.
Fucking out of control shit.
You are out of control.
Yeah. Who is Larry? Who's out of control? Somebody needs a Valium. Here he goes. 1 minute. Okay, it's festering here.
Harass and intimidate people of color. The new sheriff of Maricopa County, who beat Joe Arpaio, joins us next.
Oh, I might want to.
Oh, he's so together.
I don't know why I bother to say how to cut the SOTs when you don't do it. I don't know why I just. So now I have to chase those stupid goddamn entrails that you allowed him to stick out there. Jesus Christ.
Now he's throwing stuff.
Oh my goodness.
That's almost violent. It's like harassment.
It's workplace violence.
It's workplace violence.
Crazy fucking sound coming in my ear, this fucking stupid hammering. I told you why I wanted those fucking words cut.
Who the heck is he talking to?
His staff. His producers.
Lawrence.
It just fucking sucks. It fucking sucks to be out here with this out of control shit.
And then the
it sure does.
And then the camera that he thinks is on, the camera that makes him go live, all of a sudden his persona will change.
It's like you said.
This is the real Lawrence O'Donnell.
Right. Not the cool, calm, and collective face and voice that you see. The silky smooth voice. It's the inner progressive totalitarian coming out from the admitted socialist.
Any fucking thing can come into my ear at any moment. That's what I know. Anybody can get into my fucking ear at any time.
You know, this sounds like a madman.
Sounds like?
I wonder if he might just be hearing voices, you think?
Could be.
Some woman talking about what we're doing after the show.
Huh. Oh, he's shuffling papers.
Or Valium.
Oh, he obviously hasn't taken it yet.
These fucking things. There's a reason these words have to be cut precisely.
Oh. Big man, Larry, big man. Now he's picking his
And everyone
nose.
in the audience who's going to complain about what that guy just said is absolutely right.
Actually, I think we're going to complain about a little bit more than that now, Larry. Again, if you just tuned in to the Burke Brigade, this is enraged MSNBC host, admitted socialist Lawrence O'Donnell, going on an epic profanity-laced meltdown against his staff because things aren't going
Because the words
his
weren't
way.
cut right.
Well, and people are talking in his ear and, you know, hammering and everything else. There he is. Come on, Larry. Come on, Larry. There's more. I know there's more. Talk. Now he's fidgeting with his hands.
How do you say this guy's last name?
So he's having a guest on. He doesn't even know how to pronounce her name. I think there's a little bit more here.
Fucking guests' faces coming up in the middle of a fucking script.
I think your mouth needs to be washed out, Larry. And then he'll turn on the charm. Minute 15. Hey, listen to this. Did you see this, hon? After that video made the rounds, he issued an apology on Twitter. Here's his weak sauce apology. A better anchorman and a better person would have had a better reaction to technical difficulties.
You'll notice.
I'm sorry.
You'll notice this started out being about technical difficulties. There apparently was. He was hearing voices in his head or in his earphone or whatever, hammering noises. But then it transferred to other things that he was just complaining about. Mm-hmm. So I think this is the normal Lawrence O'Donnell.
This is the Lawrence O'Donnell. And you know what? I bet you a cameraman got sick and tired of his verbal abuse.
Yep.
And decided to expose him. Good for you, cameraman.
Yep. Tired of getting verbally abused. And you know what? They said, this is the last straw. We're going to expose this
We're
tyrant.
not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it.
Yep.
That's what your camera crew thought, Larry.
And it reminds me of another one. Take this job and shove it.
I ain't working here no more.
Okay, speaking of socialists like Lawrence O'Donnell, Mr. Blue Blood,
Mr. Congeniality,
yeah, he's a real sweetheart of a guy.
Peach.
So we played on Monday. I don't think I need to play it again, but Nancy Pelosi was ambushed
it's so pathetic.
by illegals. I mean, ambushed, shouted down. And like we talked about,
this is what democracy looks like.
Yeah, just, screaming at people at the top of your lungs. No, it's not democracy. That's actually a Marxist mob. But anyway, somewhere on this planet, i.e. California and New York, Pelosi is not far left enough for illegal alien agitators. Mm. And so they shouted her down. And so now she's on her suck-up tour because, as we all know, Democrats need illegals to get elected. So they're a new victim group that the Democrat Party, which used to be strong on border control. There's Chuck Schumer not very long ago, Harry Reid not very long ago, Bill Clinton even when he was president was talking about deporting them all. So that has completely changed since George Soros started writing him checks for open borders. So now Pelosi is saying, this was at her weekly press conference today. She said, families who broke immigration laws, foreign invaders, if they brought their kids in tow, they did a great thing for America. Beautiful. Any other crimes that we could commit for the betterment of the country? I wonder.
I want to know. Nan, San Fran, Botox Nan.
Okay, here she goes.
Logical next step. Their families did a great thing for our country, bringing these kids here who are working, who are in the military, who are in school, who are
in the MS-13 gang, who are torturing people and killing them and raping them.
Yeah, or murdering the Kate Steinleys of the world.
Botox Nan.
I wonder if the illegal who was deported several times, who murdered Kate Steinley, who he didn't even know, right in your back door, Nan.
Yep. Did you open
I wonder if
doors?
he was working or
did you open your house? What about
college
the poor
degree
kid in Pearland, Texas, who was lured into a field by someone that he kind of knew from school, then was tortured before he was killed by an illegal. What about that guy, San Fran?
She doesn't care because they weren't going to vote for her anyway. Okay, so that's enough of San Fran Nan. But speaking of the devil
and perverts,
and speaking of Satan, I'm just going to play this. It's so wonderful. It's Paul Harvey, the great Paul Harvey. Now, if you're younger than what?
I just have to say that and perverts was meant for our next topic. I just have to say it is Anthony Weiner.
Yeah,
it's not related to Paul
you were
Harvey.
teeing up progressive pervert Anthony Weiner. Because Paul Harvey was a great God-fearing American. He was a legendary broadcaster. If you're younger than 40 or 50 years old, you probably don't know who he is. And I would highly recommend you find him on YouTube. But this was in 1964. Okay, I'm 55, so I was 3 years old. But this is legendary, and it's on One American News Network, which is a conservative TV cable network that is really rising up, competing with Fox and the others. And they put it on their website, Paul Harvey, 1964, If I Were the Devil. So he's going to say, if I was the devil, here's what I would do. And this is prophetic because, this is 53 years ago, 53 years ago, and it's utterly prophetic and eerie.
If I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around.
Check. Just in your mind, check off how many of these the progressive left has accomplished.
I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions, just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door.
I'm just pausing here, but is this like rapid-fire truth bombs? Just boom, 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 boom.
Prophetic.
1964. Hit the nail on the head.
Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress.
Which is exactly what's happened.
And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would would lure
Deify science, the church of global warming, right?
priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want it until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. What'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. Paul Harvey.
Good day. You used to always say that, Paul Harvey, good day. Was there anything that he said on there that has not come true?
No.
I mean, that is utterly prophetic. God bless Paul Harvey. He was really a great American. And, you know, I remember as a little kid riding in the car with my dad, and Paul Harvey would come in with his little, you know, whatever it was, 2 or 3 minute segment. And it was always just so great. You know, what a great American. Okay, progressive pervert Anthony Weiner received 2 itsy bitsy. We're not going to dwell on this too much because he's frankly not worth it. But as we know, he is Huma Abedin.
Hillary's right-hand person.
Right.
Seen as Hillary Clinton's second daughter by many, including Hillary.
Or something else. Yes. So he is on trial right now for a sexting scandal in which he was texting pictures of his schlong to minors.
Right, and asking them to dress up in seductive clothing and poses for him as well.
So the 2 pieces of bad news are A, the U.S. government is seeking a 27-month sentence against Weiner.
Not long enough.
And I can't envision Weiner in a federal prison, can you? And nor do I want to think about it. But I have a feeling that his dates in prison might be a little bit different.
Right. I think karma's a bitch when it comes to Anthony Weiner if he makes it to
hot dog. And the other thing was his divorce. Huma apparently has filed for divorce against him, and they had wanted to keep that under wraps. They wanted to keep all the salacious details secret and hidden from the public, unlike the rest of Americans who go through a divorce and it's all a public record.
Right.
But he wanted the record sealed, him and Huma, because they are elitists and think that they are above it all, just like Hillary, right? And so the judge ruled, no, it's going to be public.
Good.
So you can bet there's going to be some great news stories about the Wieners and Hillary's Huma. Okay. Where is it? Oh, here it is. On thehill.com. Sharyl Attkisson, former CBS reporter. She was an excellent reporter. She has an op-ed today, which I would totally recommend you take a look at. And the title of the article is, her op-ed is, "It looks like Obama did spy on Trump, just as he apparently did to me." If you recall, she was one of the ones that had the CIA or FBI or whoever it was spy on her, because she was breaking big stories, especially about Benghazi. And this was during the Obama regime, of course. But she says that the media is missing the bigger story here. And, of course, it broke this week by CNN, of all places, that Paul Manafort, who at the time was the Trump campaign chairman, was spied on by the Obama regime, both before inauguration date and after inauguration date, exactly as President Trump, who is now vindicated, tweeted. And he caught hell for that, of course. It was just embarrassing for the media. But she says, quote, but I'm reading now, we're missing the bigger story. If these reports are accurate, it means U.S. intelligence agencies secretly surveilled at least a half a dozen Trump associates. And those are just the ones we know about. Besides Manafort, the officials include Trump advisors Carter Page and Michael Flynn. Last week, we discovered multiple Trump transition officials were incidentally, she's got that in quotes here, captured during government surveillance of a foreign official. We know this because former Obama advisor Susan Rice, I'll editorialize, Benghazi liar Susan Rice, so she's not as strange to lying, okay, back to reading, reportedly admitted unmasking or asking to know the identities of the officials. Spying on U.S. citizens is considered so sensitive, their names are supposed to be hidden or masked even inside the government to protect their privacy. Why? Because we have a Fourth Amendment in this country. In May, former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper and former Acting Attorney General Sally Yates acknowledged they too reviewed communications of political figures secretly collected under President Obama. She goes on to explain or wonder if the intel agencies were weaponized under Obama like the Stasi in East Germany, in Nazi Germany, with the secret police spying on its own citizens for political purposes. She says the prospect of our own NSA, CIA, and FBI becoming politically weaponized has been shrouded by untruths, accusations, and justifications. You'll recall DNI, that's Director of National Intelligence, Clapper falsely assured Congress in 2003 that the NSA was not collecting, quote, any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans, and that turned out not to be true. And of course, that should have been the biggest political scandal of all time. It makes Watergate look like a Sunday morning church service, but it was swept under the rug by the compliant Democrat media complex, which kissed Obama's rear end for 8 years. Okay, we're going to completely shift gears, but, you know, there's a Republican Attorney General here, there's a Republican President. Heads should roll over this.
Yeah, you know, we've known that the left has taken over the educational system, sadly, but surely they have. It's no longer overall a place of educating children or, you know, increasing knowledge for kids. It's really an indoctrination center. I mean,
Communist indoctrination center.
It's an indoctrination
That's right.
center. And out of, shocker of all shockers, California,
comes
this story of a high school junior who had his hands taped together and was a part of a slave ship reenactment when he was an 8th grader on the Cerritos campus is where he goes to school.
I mean, how traumatic would that be? I mean, imagine how emotionally, fragile you know.
8th grade, yeah, and they didn't inform parents. They didn't let parents know what was going on ahead of time. The mother complained recently after getting an email from the teacher explaining the unique classroom activity, which was to be a surprise. Staff would act as slave ship captains, the email described, and the children slaves. After lining the kids up, the note said they'd use masking tape to tie their wrists together, make them lay on the ground and in a dark room, and have to watch a clip from the film Roots. So, you know, this is once again this whole attack on white people. I doubt they have black people do this. This whole attack on that's quote-unquote white privilege, putting white people in their place. I mean, who approved this activity? Teachers typically have to submit their lesson plans and they're reviewed. Who approved this activity where you're going to force white children who were nowhere near being alive during times of slavery or segregation to be part of this?
I think the headline, and this is from moonbattery.com, nailed it exactly on the head. And it says on moonbattery.com, which is a really great conservative blog, it said, school children subjected to terrifying bondage to intensify white guilt indoctrination. That is exactly what this is. Hashtag cultural Marxism. Okay, speaking of Marxists, and actually other things as well, we have DNC Deputy Chair this week, Keith Ellison, who I might add is formerly known as Keith X, comparing the United States to Nazi Germany. But that's okay because A, he's Muslim, B, he's a Democrat. So no outrage over this from the left, but we're going to play this little clip here. But let me just remind you about Keith X. He is a Muslim radical. He has in the past very strongly supported the anti-Semitic, America-hating Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan. And, he has had some major anti-Semitic statements in his own right. So for him to act like he is a defender of the Jews right now is a little hypocritical. Wouldn't you say, my dear?
Very hypocritical, huh?
So, here is this Muslim Brotherhood stooge acting like he cares about Israel or cares about the Jews. And what he's trying to do is tie in to what the left has invented here, this so-called intersectionality, where they have tried to marry all these different victim groups they've created. Hey, if you're gay, you're the same victim as the Muslims who want to, behead the gays. But never mind, white man, white Christian men.
Muslims are still more accepting of you, even though they want to throw you off the building.
Right. So let's listen to Keith X here, because what it is, it's about DACA and amnesty, and of course, in his mind, shipping back an illegal alien who broke into our country illegally, or maybe their parents did and brought the children in tow. Sorry, still a crime. That is the same as gassing and murdering 6 million Jews somehow. So what he's doing is he's downplaying the Holocaust. That's the bottom line.
Of course, because
shameful.
he's a Muzzy.
Shameful.
Some with official papers, some with not.
Yeah, some had official papers, some don't.
Because
and it doesn't matter. It's not like we have laws or anything.
Right?
Laws don't really matter.
So this is not someone else's fight. This is all of our fight. But some people are in the bullseye, and others of us are not exactly the target.
Oh, bullseye and target. Isn't
Can't
that violent
that.
imagery?
Can't say that.
Oh my gosh, remember when Sarah Palin actually had a target of races that were going to be targeted, and they said she was promoting violence? How can he say target?
Because he's a Democrat. So
Therefore, it is our responsibility to stand up, fight, and do the right thing. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm one of the people who believes we should give our neighbors sanctuary.
There he is, pandering for the illegal vote. Our neighbors that broke into our country illegally should be given sanctuary. All of them. Now, he's not just talking DACA here.
He's talking flood the country.
Yeah, of course, because the Democrats have crapped in the faces of their voters for decades, and now they have to recreate new voters, bringing in people from foreign countries that want free stuff.
And if you ask yourself, what would I do if I was a Gentile in 1941 if my Jewish neighbors were under attack by the Nazis? Would I give them sanctuary? You might be about to find out what you would do. Will you pass that moral test, or will you fail it? This is the time for people.
So now he wants to legislate morality, but we've been told for decades that you can't legislate morality, but you can if you're left and you want to legislate immorality.
Who truly have faith and belief in their heart to step up and demonstrate it.
Isn't that just precious?
Special.
So special. That's just moving right there, Keith. Thanks for sharing that with us, Keith. We appreciate that so much. Okay, so we got a lot in today. We got the devil and Keith Ellison, but I digress. And Paul Harvey, of course, which was just prophetic. Look that up. Paul Harvey, If I Were the Devil and Want to Destroy America, it's utterly prophetic. Pelosi is now kissing up to the illegals. We have progressive pervert Anthony Weiner. He got some bad news. Sharyl Attkisson, epic. We had the Lawrence O'Donnell hateful progressive meltdown. And I'm sorry, we're out of time. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into this late was today, Wednesday night edition of the Burke Brigade, brought to you by the Liberty Daily.
Your conservative alternative to the Drudge Report.
Go to thelibertydaily.com. You will not be sorry. Rated today as the best conservative news site on the internet. God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning into us.
God bless America.
Love you guys.